After 60, your body sends signals most people miss. Balance wavers for half a second climbing stairs. Grip strength fades opening a jar. A stumble in the garden lands harder than it used to. These aren't just signs of getting older. They're early warnings that the systems keeping you mobile and independent are quietly shutting down. Here's what most doctors won't tell you during a standard checkup. The average American senior loses roughly 30% of muscle mass between age 60 and 70. That's not a slow fade over decades. That's a collapse in a single decade. And it accelerates if you do nothing. Falls become the leading cause of injury-related death for people over 65 in the United States. More than driving accidents. More than any single disease event. Yet, the conversation in most clinics stops at calcium supplements and grab bars. Meanwhile, in Japan, seniors in their 70s and 80s move through daily routines with a fluidity that looks almost choreographed. They squat to garden. They balance on one foot, slipping shoes on without leaning against a wall. They walk miles without canes. It's not genetics. It's not luck. It's a single movement practice woven into their culture from childhood. A practice so simple it takes 90 seconds. So effective it rebuilds the exact neural pathways that prevent falls. And so misunderstood in the West that 99% of American seniors have never tried it even once. In the next hour, I'm going to walk you through the most powerful anti-aging exercise you've never heard of, and 5 others that stack on top of it. These aren't gym routines. They're movements you do at home in regular clothes with zero equipment. I'll show you the 20-year research trail from Tokyo universities that proves why this works. I'll give you the step-by-step protocols including modifications if your knees ache or your balance is shaky today. And I'll share real stories from people who went from fear of falling to hiking trails again in less than 8 weeks. But first, I need you to do something. Drop a comment right now with your age and where you're watching from. I want to see how many of us are ready to move differently. Because this isn't about turning back the clock. It's about taking control of the next 20 years before your body decides for you. Let's start with what's actually happening inside your body after 60 that makes falls so deadly. There's a system most people have never heard of called proprioception. It's the sense that tells your brain where your body is in space without looking. Close your eyes and touch your nose with your finger. That's proprioception. It's why you can walk in the dark without crashing into furniture. Why you catch yourself when you trip on uneven pavement. After 60, the system degrades faster than vision or hearing. The nerve endings in your feet and ankles that send positional data to your brain start firing slower. The cerebellum, which processes that data, shrinks slightly every year. And the muscles that make micro-adjustments to keep you upright weaken from disuse. This is the hidden triad that makes a simple stumble turn into a hip fracture. You don't see the curb because your depth perception is slightly off. Your foot doesn't send the danger signal fast enough, and your legs don't have the reactive strength to catch you. By the time you realize you're falling, it's already over. Now here's the kicker. Most balance training in the West focuses on static holds. Stand on one leg for 30 seconds. Sit on a wobble board. These help a little, but they train your body to balance when you're thinking about balancing. Real life doesn't work that way. You're carrying groceries, turning your head to check traffic, bending to pick up a dropped key. You need dynamic balance, the kind that works when you're not paying attention. And that's exactly what this Japanese exercise was designed to rebuild. It's called tandem walking, but the way it's practiced in Japan is radically different from the version you might see in a physical therapy clinic. It's not about walking a straight line and calling it done. It's about reprogramming your nervous system through progressive instability until catching yourself becomes automatic again. Let me explain how it works and why the science behind it is so robust that hospitals in Osaka now prescribe it as a fall prevention protocol for every patient over 70. Your brain has 2 systems for balance, the conscious system and the reflex system. The conscious system is what you use when you stand on one leg and concentrate. It's slow. It requires focus. It tires quickly. The reflex system is what saves you when you slip on ice. It's fast. It's automatic. It doesn't think. After 60, the reflex system atrophies because modern life doesn't challenge it. You walk on flat surfaces. You hold railings. You avoid anything that feels unstable. Your brain interprets this as a signal that fast reflexes aren't needed anymore, so it reallocates resources. The neural pathways that controlled reflexive balance get pruned like unused branches on a tree. Tandem walking, when done correctly, forces your brain to rebuild those pathways. You walk heel to toe in a straight line, but with your eyes closed or your head turning side to side. This creates controlled instability. Your brain has to react in real time. It can't plan ahead. It can't rely on vision. It has to trust the signals from your feet and make split-second adjustments. Do this for 90 seconds a day, and within 2 weeks your cerebellum starts firing faster. Proprioceptive nerves begin sending clearer signals, and the small stabilizer muscles in your ankles and hips wake up. Research from institutions studying elderly populations in Japan has tracked thousands of seniors using this method. Some analyses show that groups practicing tandem walking with progressive challenges reduced fall risk by margins that exceeded conventional balance training. The key is progression. You don't just walk a line forever. You add challenges. Week 1, you walk heel to toe on a clear floor with eyes open. Week 2, you do it with eyes closed for 3 steps, then open for 3. Week 3, you turn your head left and right while walking. Week 4, you walk on a soft surface like a yoga mat or thick carpet. Each progression destabilizes you slightly more. Each one forces your reflex system to adapt. By week 8, your body has relearned how to catch itself without thinking. This is the difference between training for balance and training for fall prevention. One is a party trick. The other is a survival skill. Let me tell you about Richard. He's 72, retired postal worker from Oregon. Loved hiking but stopped 2 years ago after he tripped on a route and went down hard. No fracture, but the fear stayed. He started avoiding trails. Then he started avoiding stairs. Then he started holding furniture walking through his own house. His daughter found a video explaining tandem walking and sent it to him. He thought it looked too simple to matter. But he tried it. 90 seconds a day walking heel to toe down the hallway. Eyes open the first week. Eyes closed for a few steps the second week. By week 3, he was turning his head while walking. By week 5, he wasn't thinking about it anymore. His body just knew where it was. At week 8, he went back to the trail where he fell. Hiked 3 miles. No stumbles, no fear. He told me later the biggest change wasn't strength. It was confidence. His brain trusted his legs again. Here's how you do it safely starting today. Find a hallway or clear space at least 10 feet long. Stand with your right foot directly in front of your left. Heel of the right foot touching toes of the left. Arms out to the side for balance if needed. Walk forward, placing one foot directly in front of the other, heel to toe. Go slow, 10 steps. Turn around carefully and walk back. That's 1 set. Do 3 sets. Takes 90 seconds total. If you feel wobbly, touch the wall. If you lose your balance, completely stop and reset. This is not a test. It's training. Wobbling is good. It means your brain is working. After 3 days of this, you'll feel steadier. After a week, you'll notice you're not grabbing the counter when you turn in the kitchen. After 2 weeks, try 3 steps with your eyes closed, then open them. After 3 weeks, turn your head gently left and right while you walk. Never progress faster than feels safe. If a level feels too hard, stay there another week. There's no prize for rushing. The goal is to make instability feel normal so your reflex system rebuilds. 1 warning. If you have severe neuropathy in your feet or a vestibular disorder, this exercise might be too challenging without supervision. Talk to a physical therapist first. If you've had a stroke or significant neurological event, get clearance before trying closed-eye variations. And if you feel dizzy, stop immediately. Dizziness during balance training can signal an inner ear issue that needs medical evaluation. This is about building strength, not pushing through danger signals. Now, let's move to the second movement that Japanese seniors do daily. And this one rebuilds the part of your body that determines whether you stay independent or need help with basic tasks in the next decade. I'll explain what it is, why American doctors almost never teach it, and how to do it in 2 minutes every morning. But first, tell me in the comments, have you ever practiced any kind of balance training at home? Or was this your first time hearing about tandem walking? I want to know where you're starting from. The second movement is called Shiko, and it comes from sumo training, but it's practiced in modified form by millions of older adults across Japan. In English, it translates roughly to seated squat or earth stomp. But the version for seniors isn't about stomping. It's about rebuilding hip mobility and eccentric leg strength. Those are the two things that decide whether you can get off the floor unassisted at age 75. Here's why that matters. Studies tracking aging populations have found that the ability to sit down on the floor and stand back up without using your hands is one of the strongest predictors of longevity. Stronger than cholesterol. Stronger than blood pressure. If you can do it, your risk of dying in the next decade drops significantly compared to someone who can't. This isn't about flexibility. It's about integrated strength and balance. Your hips have to hinge. Your knees have to bend under control. Your core has to stabilize. And your ankles have to handle load at odd angles. All of this requires coordination between muscle groups that don't fire together when you're just walking or standing. Shiko trains that exact coordination. Here's what's happening inside your body. When you squat down slowly, your quadriceps and glutes lengthen under load. That's called an eccentric contraction. Eccentric strength is what stops you from collapsing when you sit. It's what lets you lower yourself into a car seat without dropping. It's what keeps your knees from buckling when you step down off a curb. After 60, eccentric strength disappears faster than any other type because daily life doesn't demand it. You sit in chairs. You avoid the floor. You use your arms to push up from low surfaces. Your legs stop learning how to control descent. Within a few years, you've lost the ability to squat past 90 degrees. Then you can't kneel. Then you can't get up from a low seat without help. Shiko reverses this by forcing your legs to control the descent and power the ascent every single day. And because it's done with a wide stance and controlled tempo, it's gentler on the knees than conventional squats. Let me tell you about Linda. She's 67, former school librarian from Pennsylvania. She loved gardening but couldn't squat to pull weeds anymore. Her knees hurt. Her hips felt locked. She sat on a stool instead, but it took the joy out of it. She couldn't get close to the plants, couldn't feel the soil. One of her friends who'd spent time in Kyoto showed her Shiko. Linda tried the beginner version. Holding the kitchen counter, she stood with feet-wide toes pointed slightly out. She lowered herself 6 inches, knees tracking over toes. Paused. Stood back up. 5 reps. Took 40 seconds. Her knees didn't hurt. After 2 weeks, she lowered 8 inches. After a month, she could squat to parallel, holding the counter lightly for balance. After 6 weeks, she squatted unassisted. At 8 weeks, she was kneeling in her garden, pulling weeds with her hands in the dirt. She told me the day she got back on the ground and stood up without help was the day she stopped feeling old. Here's the protocol. Stand facing a sturdy counter or table with your feet wider than hip width. Turn your toes out slightly about 20 degrees. Hold the edge of the counter lightly with both hands. Inhale and lower yourself slowly as far as feels comfortable. Knees should track in the same direction as your toes. Don't let them collapse inward. Your back stays upright. Your chest stays lifted. Go down only as far as you can control. For some people, that's 6 inches. For others, it's 12. Doesn't matter. Pause at the bottom for 1 breath. Exhale and push through your heels to stand back up. That's 1 rep. Do 5 reps. Rest 30 seconds. Do 5 more. 2 sets of 5 takes about 90 seconds total. Do this every morning. After 1 week, try lowering 1 inch deeper. After 2 weeks, let go of the counter for the last 2 reps if you feel stable. After a month, try the full set with just fingertips on the counter. Your goal over 3 months is to squat to parallel with no support. But never force depth. Pain is a stop signal. Discomfort in the muscles is normal. Sharp pain in the joints means you went too deep or your knees caved in. Reset and go lighter. Here's a modification if your knees are really sensitive. Do the same movement but only lower 4 inches. Or hold the bottom position for 3 seconds instead of going deeper. The time under tension still builds strength. Another option is to place a sturdy box or stool behind you. Squat until your hips touch the box, then stand. This gives you a depth target and a safety net. As you get stronger, use a lower box. Within 2 months, most people can squat without the box. If you have a hip replacement, check with your surgeon about squat depth. Some hardware has angle restrictions. And if you feel dizzy standing up from a deep squat, you might be holding your breath. Breathe continuously. Inhale down, exhale up. Never lock your breath. Now, here's the surprising part. Shiko doesn't just rebuild leg strength. It improves digestion. Deep squats massage your intestines and stimulate peristalsis. That's the wave-like motion that moves food through your gut. Many older adults report that constipation improves within 2 weeks of daily Shiko. It also mobilizes your pelvic floor, which can reduce urinary urgency. These aren't side effects. They're design features. The squat is a natural human resting position. We've just forgotten how to do it. Let's move to the third movement, and this one targets the part of your body that controls whether you fall forward or backward when you lose your footing. It's called the ankle, and it's the most neglected joint in every senior fitness program. I'll explain why weak ankles are the silent killer of independence and how to rebuild them in under 60 seconds a day. But first, I want to know in the comments, do you currently have any ankle pain or swelling, or do your ankles feel strong? This will help me know how many of you need the beginner modifications. The ankle is a hinge joint that moves in 4 directions: up, down, inward, and outward. Every step you take requires all 4 directions to fire in coordination. Your ankle has to absorb impact when your heel hits the ground. It has to stabilize sideways when you shift weight. It has to push off with force when you move forward. And it has to make micro-adjustments when the ground is uneven. After 60, the muscles and tendons around the ankles stiffen. The range of motion shrinks. The proprioceptive nerves slow down. And the result is that your ankle stops being a shock absorber and becomes a rigid post. This is catastrophic for balance. Because when your ankle can't adapt, your body compensates by shifting weight onto your hips and lower back. This creates a wobble at your center of gravity. And a wobble at the center is what turns a small trip into a full fall. Here's the Japanese solution. It's called Ashi Yubi Taisu, which translates to toe exercises. But it's not about wiggling your toes. It's about rebuilding the intrinsic muscles of the foot and the reactive strength of the ankle. There are 19 muscles in your foot. Most of them are dormant because you wear shoes all day. In Japan, people remove shoes indoors. They walk on tatami mats. They kneel and sit cross-legged. This keeps the foot muscles active. In America, we wear cushioned shoes from morning to night. We walk on flat, hard surfaces. We never challenge the foot. The small muscles atrophy. The arch collapses. The ankle becomes stiff. Ashiyubi Taisu wakes everything back up, and it takes less than 60 seconds. You do it sitting in a chair. No equipment, no risk. Just focused movement that feels almost meditative. Let me tell you about James. He's 71, retired firefighter from Michigan. Rolled his ankle stepping off a curb 3 years ago. It healed but never felt the same. He had this low-level fear every time he walked on gravel or grass. His ankle felt weak, like it might give out. He wore high-top shoes for support. One of his buddies who'd lived in Okinawa for a decade taught him Ashi Yubi Taisu. James thought it looked silly, sitting in a chair, spreading and curling your toes. But he tried it. 60 seconds twice a day. After 1 week, his ankle felt more awake. After 2 weeks, he could balance on that leg without wobbling. After a month, he walked on a gravel trail without fear. At 6 weeks, he ditched the high tops. He told me the exercise didn't make his ankle stronger in the way lifting weights does. It made it smarter, like it remembered how to react. Here's how you do it. Sit in a chair with your feet flat on the floor. Lift all 10 toes off the ground as high as you can. Spread them wide. Hold for 3 seconds. Now press them down into the floor as hard as you can. Hold for 3 seconds. Relax. That's 1 rep. Doten reps. Takes 30 seconds. Now place a small towel on the floor in front of you. Use your toes to scrunch the towel toward you. Pretend you're grabbing it with your toes and pulling. Do this for 10 scrunch motions. Takes another 30 seconds. That's the full sequence. Do it once in the morning, once at night. After 1 week, add a balance challenge. Do the toe lifts while balancing on one foot for 5 seconds. After 2 weeks, do the towel scrunches while balancing. Your ankle has to stabilize while your toes work. This is the coordination that prevents rolls and sprains. Here's why this works. The muscles that lift and spread your toes are connected to the muscles that stabilize your ankle. When you strengthen one, you wake up the other. The towel scrunch specifically targets the flexor muscles in the arch of your foot. These are the muscles that absorb impact and prevent your foot from collapsing inward when you step on uneven ground. Researchers studying foot biomechanics in older adults have found that groups practicing toe exercises showed measurable improvements in ankle stability and reduced reports of near falls. The mechanism is simple. Strong toes create a strong base. A strong base allows the ankle to react faster. A faster ankle catches you before you fall. If you have hammer toes or bunions, this exercise might feel uncomfortable at first. Start with 5 reps instead of 10. If you have neuropathy and can't feel your toes, clearly do the exercise in front of a mirror so you can see the movement. And if you've had ankle surgery, check with your doctor before adding the balance variations. The toe lifts and towel scrunches are almost always safe, but loading a surgical ankle requires clearance. Now let's talk about the fourth movement, and this one is controversial because it involves something most American seniors are told to avoid. I'm going to explain why that advice is outdated, why this movement is one of the safest ways to build bone density after 60, and how to do it without any risk of injury. But before I do, I need you to drop a comment. Have you been told by a doctor to avoid any specific exercises because of your age or a condition? I'm curious how many of you have been given blanket warnings that might actually be holding you back. The movement is called kakata otoshi, which means heel drop. It's a mini impact exercise where you rise onto your toes and drop your heels back to the ground with a slight thud. This sends a shockwave through your bones. And that shockwave is exactly what your bones need to stay strong. Here's the truth about bone density that most doctors don't explain well. Bone is living tissue. It responds to stress by getting thicker and stronger. When you load a bone with impact, it creates microfractures at the cellular level. Your body detects the damage and sends osteoblasts, which are bone-building cells, to repair the area. The bone heals slightly thicker than before. This is called Wolff's Law. Bone adapts to the loads placed on it. After 60, especially in women after menopause, bone density drops fast. Osteoclasts, which are cells that break down old bone, start working faster than osteoblasts can build new bone. The result is osteopenia, which can progress to osteoporosis. Fragile bones that fracture easily. The standard medical advice is calcium supplements and weight-bearing exercise like walking. But here's the problem. Walking is low impact. It maintains bone. It doesn't build it. To build bone, you need impact. Real impact. The kind that sends a signal to your skeleton saying this structure is under threat, rebuild it stronger. Heel drops deliver that signal in the safest possible way. You're not jumping off a box. You're not running on concrete. You're rising 2 inches onto your toes and dropping back down. The impact is controlled, but it's enough to stimulate bone growth in your hips, spine, and legs. Studies from research groups examining bone health in aging populations have found that even modest impact exercises performed daily can lead to measurable increases in bone mineral density over several months. The key is consistency and progressive load. Let me tell you about Susan. She's 69, retired accountant from Ohio, diagnosed with osteopenia at her last bone scan. Her doctor told her to take calcium and vitamin D and walk every day. She did. A year later, her bone density hadn't improved. It hadn't gotten worse, but it hadn't improved. She was frustrated. She didn't want to end up on medication. She read about kakata otoshi and asked her doctor if it was safe. He'd never heard of it. Told her impact exercises could cause fractures. She decided to try it anyway, but started extremely gently. She stood next to the kitchen counter, rose onto her toes 1 inch off the ground, dropped her heels back down, did it 20 times. Took 30 seconds. Barely felt like anything. After 2 weeks, she rose 2 inches. After a month, she let go of the counter. After 3 months, she did 50 heel drops every morning. At her next bone scan 6 months later, her bone density in the hip had increased slightly. Not a huge jump, but an increase. Her doctor was surprised. She told him what she'd been doing. He said, "Keep doing it. Here's the protocol. Stand next to a countertop or sturdy chair with your hand resting lightly on it for balance. Feet hip-width apart. Rise up onto the balls of your feet as high as you comfortably can. Pause for 1 second. Now, let your heels drop back to the floor. Don't jump. Just let gravity pull your heels down. You should feel a light thud through your legs. That's the impact you want. 10 reps. Rest 10 seconds. 10 more. 2 sets of 10 takes about 45 seconds. Do this every single day. After 1 week, increase to 15 reps per set. After 2 weeks, try 20. After a month, if it feels easy, let go of the counter and do the drops freestanding. Your goal is 50 reps total, which takes about 90 seconds. Do not do this on carpet. You need a hard surface like wood, tile, or concrete. The impact doesn't transmit through soft surfaces. Do not do this if you have a stress fracture or acute bone pain. And if you have severe osteoporosis, talk to your doctor first. Some cases are so advanced that even controlled impact is risky. But for most people with osteopenia or mild osteoporosis, this is safe and effective. Here's a bonus tip. Do your heel drops in the morning. Bone-building hormones are highest after you wake up. And do them before you eat. Some evidence suggests that impact on an empty stomach enhances the osteoblast response. After your heel drops, walk for 10 minutes. The combination of impact and movement maximizes bone signaling. If you want to go further, add a weighted vest. Even 5 pounds increases the load on your bones. But don't add weight until you've been doing bodyweight heel drops for at least 6 weeks. And never exceed 10% of your body weight in a vest. More than that changes your gait and increases fall risk. Now let's move to the 5th movement. And this one is the most underrated exercise for preventing the #1 cause of death in seniors. It's not a disease. It's not cancer. It's loss of respiratory function. I'll explain what that means, why one simple breathing movement done daily can add years to your life, and how to do it right now in 30 seconds. And I want you to try it with me as I explain it. Then tell me in the comments if you felt your ribs expand more than they usually do when you breathe. The movement is called Fukushiki Kokyu, which means abdominal breathing. But the Japanese version is more structured than the deep breathing you might have tried before. It's a specific pattern that forces your diaphragm to work through its full range of motion. Here's why this is life or death. Your diaphragm is a dome-shaped muscle that sits below your lungs. When you inhale, it contracts and flattens, pulling your lungs downward and creating space for air. When you exhale, it relaxes and rises, pushing air out. After 60, the diaphragm weakens. It doesn't flatten as far. You take shallower breaths. Your lung capacity drops. And here's the cascade. Less oxygen means your heart has to work harder. Your brain gets less fuel. Your muscles fatigue faster. You feel tired all the time. You avoid activity. You lose more muscle. Your diaphragm weakens further. This is the spiral that ends with seniors sitting in a chair all day, too tired to move. And it starts with weak breathing. Research, examining respiratory function in elderly populations, has found that diaphragm strength and lung capacity are among the strongest predictors of mortality in people over 65. Stronger than blood pressure in some analyses. Why? Because everything in your body depends on oxygen. Your immune system, your cognition, your ability to repair tissue. When your oxygen delivery declines, every system suffers. Fukushiki Kokyu rebuilds diaphragm strength. It also activates the vagus nerve, which controls your parasympathetic nervous system. That's the system that lowers heart rate, reduces inflammation, and signals your body to rest and repair. 5 minutes of structured abdominal breathing daily can lower blood pressure, improve sleep, and reduce chronic pain. It's one of the most powerful interventions you can do, and it costs nothing. Let me tell you about David. He's 73, retired engineer from Arizona. Started feeling winded walking up a single flight of stairs. His doctor checked his heart. Normal. Checked his lungs. Normal. Told him it was just age. David wasn't satisfied. He found a video on Fukushiki Kokyu, tried it once, felt lightheaded because he wasn't used to breathing that deeply, but he kept going. 30 seconds twice a day. After 1 week, he noticed he wasn't out of breath carrying groceries. After 2 weeks, he climbed the stairs without stopping. After a month, he felt more awake during the day. His wife said he snored less at night. At 3 months, he hiked a trail he hadn't done in 5 years. He told me the breathing practice didn't just give him more air, it gave him more life. Here's how you do it right now. Sit in a chair with your back straight. Place one hand on your chest and one hand on your belly just below your ribs. Inhale slowly through your nose for a count of 4. As you inhale, focus on pushing your belly out against your hand. Your chest should barely move. Your belly should rise. This means your diaphragm is pulling down and filling the lower part of your lungs. Pause for a count of 2. Now exhale slowly through your mouth for a count of 6. As you exhale, pull your belly in toward your spine. Your hand on your belly should move inward. Your chest should stay still. Pause for a count of 2. That's 1 cycle. Do 5 cycles. Takes about 90 seconds. Do this twice a day, morning and night. After 1 week, increase to 10 cycles. After 2 weeks, try inhaling for 5 counts and exhaling for 7. The exhale should always be longer than the inhale. This activates the vagus nerve and shifts you into a calm state. Here's a modification if you feel dizzy. Shorten the counts. Inhale for 3, exhale for 4. Dizziness means you're hyperventilating or breathing too deeply too fast. Slow it down. If you have COPD or asthma, check with your doctor before doing extended breath holds. And if you feel any chest pain, stop immediately. This should feel relaxing, never stressful. Here's an advanced variation. Do the abdominal breathing while lying on your back with a small book on your belly. Inhale and try to lift the book with your belly. Exhale and lower it. This gives you visual feedback and adds resistance, which strengthens the diaphragm faster. After a month of daily practice, you'll notice you breathe deeper automatically, even when you're not thinking about it. Your body relearns what full breathing feels like. Now, let's move to the 6th movement, and this one is about the part of your body that determines how you age emotionally, not just physically. It's your spine. A stiff spine leads to chronic pain. Chronic pain leads to immobility. Immobility leads to isolation. Isolation leads to depression. This next movement breaks that chain. I'll explain the mechanism and give you the 30-second protocol. But first, tell me in the comments, do you have any chronic back pain or stiffness that limits what you can do? I want to understand how widespread this issue is in this community. The movement is called Neko Nobashi, which translates to cat stretch. You've probably seen a cat do this. They arch their back up toward the ceiling, then let it sag down toward the floor. It looks simple, but it's one of the most effective ways to restore spinal mobility. Your spine has 33 vertebrae separated by discs. Each disc is a cushion that absorbs shock. After 60, the discs lose water content. They shrink. The space between vertebrae narrows. Nerves get compressed. This is why so many seniors have chronic lower back pain or sciatica. The standard advice is rest and pain medication. But rest makes it worse. When you don't move your spine, the muscles around it stiffen. Scar tissue forms. The discs lose even more fluid. The pain increases. You move less. The cycle repeats. Neko Nobashi breaks the cycle by mobilizing the spine in both directions, flexion and extension. This pumps fluid into the discs. It stretches the muscles along the spine. It decompresses the nerve roots, and it signals your brain that movement is safe. Let me tell you about Margaret. She's 68, former nurse from Texas, had lower back pain for 10 years. Some days it was a dull ache. Other days it was sharp and shooting down her leg. She tried physical therapy. Helped for a week, then the pain came back. She tried injections. Same result. She was about to consider surgery. Then she saw a video on Neko Nobashi. She got down on her hands and knees on a yoga mat, arched her back up like a scared cat, held it for 3 seconds, let her back sag down. Held it for 3 seconds, did it 10 times. Took 45 seconds. Her back felt looser immediately. Not pain-free, but looser. She did it twice a day. After 1 week, the sharp pain was gone. After 2 weeks, she could bend to tie her shoes without wincing. After a month, she could garden for an hour without needing to lie down after. At 3 months, she canceled the surgery consult. She told me the stretch didn't fix everything, but it gave her back control. She wasn't afraid of her own body anymore. Here's the protocol. Get down on your hands and knees on a mat or soft surface. Hands directly under shoulders. Knees under hips. Start in a neutral spine. Now inhale and arch your back downward. Let your belly drop toward the floor. Lift your head and chest. This is the cow position. Hold for 3 seconds. Now exhale and round your back upward. Tuck your chin toward your chest. Pull your belly button toward your spine. This is the cat position. Hold for 3 seconds. That's 1 cycle. Do 10 cycles. Takes about 60 seconds. Do this every morning. If your wrists hurt, place a folded towel under your hands or make fists and balance on your knuckles. If your knees hurt, place a cushion under them or do the movement standing. Stand facing a wall with your hands pressed against it. Arch your back and push your hips back. Then round your back and tuck your hips forward. Same movement, different position. Here's why this works. When you arch your spine into extension, you open the front of the discs and compress the back. When you round your spine into flexion, you open the back of the discs and compress the front. This alternating compression and expansion moves fluid in and out of the discs like squeezing a sponge. The discs rehydrate. The space between vertebrae increases. Nerves decompress. Pain reduces. Additionally, the movement stretches the erector spinae muscles along your spine and the hip flexors, which are often tight in people with back pain. Tight hip flexors pull on your lumbar spine and create an anterior pelvic tilt, which compresses the lower discs. Neko Nobashi releases that tension. If you have a herniated disc, check with a doctor before doing this. Some herniations are directional, and flexion or extension can make them worse. And if you feel any shooting pain down your leg during the movement, stop immediately. That's a nerve signal. But for most people with general stiffness or chronic ache, this is safe and effective. Now let's talk about the number 1 movement. The one that 99% of American seniors skip. The one that Japanese elders do every single day without thinking. The one that rewires your brain, rebuilds your balance, and could literally save your life in the next 5 years. I've held this one until now because everything I've taught you so far builds toward it. Tandem walking woke up your reflexes. Shiko rebuilt your legs. Ankle exercises stabilized your base. Heel drops strengthened your bones. Breathing gave you oxygen. Spine stretches freed your movement. Now we put it all together. The movement is called Moroha Aruki, which translates to mindful walking. But it's not meditation. It's not a slow stroll through a garden. It's walking with intention. Walking where every step is a balance challenge. Where your brain has to stay alert. Where your body has to adapt in real time. This is the exercise that prevents falls better than anything else in the research. And here's why almost no American seniors do it. Because it requires you to walk on uneven ground. On grass, on gravel, on trails, on surfaces that aren't flat and predictable. Modern infrastructure is designed to eliminate instability. Sidewalks are smooth. Floors are level. We've engineered risk out of daily life. And in doing so, we've engineered away the stimulus that keeps your nervous system sharp. In Japan, the cultural relationship with walking is completely different. Seniors walk to the market on cobblestone paths. They walk through temple gardens on irregular stone steps. They walk in parks where the ground shifts from dirt to gravel to grass. Every step requires adjustment, and that adjustment is what keeps the brain-body connection alive. Research institutions studying fall prevention have found that walking on varied terrain activates neural networks that flat surface walking simply doesn't touch. Your brain has to process texture changes. It has to predict how your foot will land. It has to prepare the ankle for impact. It has to adjust your center of gravity continuously. This creates what scientists call neural plasticity. Your brain builds new connections. It strengthens existing pathways. And it maintains the processing speed that turns reaction time from half a second to a tenth of a second. That difference is what determines whether you catch yourself or hit the ground. Let me tell you about Thomas. He's 74, retired contractor from Colorado. He walked every day, 3 miles on the paved trail near his house, same route every morning for 5 years. Thought he was doing everything right. Then one afternoon he stepped off the trail to let a cyclist pass. His foot landed on uneven grass. His ankle rolled. He went down, sprained his wrist catching himself. He couldn't understand it. He walked every day. He was active. Why didn't his body react? A physical therapist explained it to him. His body had adapted to flat ground. It knew how to walk on pavement, but it had forgotten how to walk on anything else. She taught him Moroha Aruki. She told him to spend 10 minutes of every walk on unpaved surfaces. Grass, dirt paths, gravel, anywhere the ground wasn't perfectly smooth. He started doing it. At first it felt unstable. His ankles worked harder. His core engaged. His attention sharpened. After 2 weeks it felt normal. After a month he could walk on rocky trails without looking down constantly. At 3 months he hiked a mountain path with his grandkids. No stumbles, no fear. He told me the practice didn't just change how he walked. It changed how he felt about his body. He wasn't fragile anymore. Here's the protocol, and this one is simpler than everything else I've taught you. Once a day, walk for 10 minutes on uneven ground. Not a hike. Not an expedition. Just 10 minutes. Find a park with grass. Walk across it instead of staying on the path. Find a gravel driveway. Walk the length of it. Find a trail with exposed roots and rocks. Walk slowly and deliberately. Your goal is not distance. Your goal is to force your body to adapt. Keep your eyes forward, not down. Let your feet figure it out. This is critical. If you stare at the ground, you're using your conscious balance system. You're planning every step. That's not how real life works. In real life, you're looking ahead. You're distracted. Your reflex system has to handle the terrain automatically. So walk with your head up. Let your peripheral vision guide you. And trust your feet. If you feel unsteady, slow down, but don't stop. Unsteady is good. It means your brain is working. Start with flat grass if you're nervous. Walk back and forth across a lawn for 5 minutes. After 1 week, add gentle slopes. Walk uphill and downhill on grass. Your body has to lean and counterbalance. After 2 weeks, add gravel or mulch. The surface shifts under your feet. Your ankles have to react. After 3 weeks, add trails with small obstacles. Tree roots, rocks, uneven dirt. Step over them. Step on them. Let your body figure out the pattern. After a month, try walking these surfaces with your head turning side to side every few steps. This mimics looking for traffic or checking your surroundings. Your balance system has to work while your visual system is busy. This is advanced training. If you have access to sand walk on a beach. Sand is one of the best surfaces for balance training because it's unstable in every direction. 10 minutes on sand equals 30 minutes on grass in terms of neural activation. Here's a safety note. Always carry your phone. If you're trying a new trail, tell someone where you're going. Wear shoes with good tread, trail shoes or walking shoes with grip, not smooth-soled sneakers. And never do this in wet conditions until you're confident. Wet grass and wet leaves are slippery. They add a level of difficulty that's not appropriate for beginners. If you have severe osteoporosis or a history of fractures, stay on gentle grass and avoid rocky trails until you've built more strength. And if you use a cane or walker, that's fine. Use them. The goal is to challenge your balance within your current ability. You're not trying to prove anything. You're trying to improve. Here's an indoor modification if weather or access is an issue. Get a thick yoga mat or a foam balance pad. Walk across it heel to toe. The foam creates instability. Your brain has to adapt. It's not as good as real terrain, but it's better than flat floors. Now here's the part that ties everything together. Why does Moroha Aruki work better than any other single intervention? Because it trains the exact scenario that causes falls. You're moving forward. You're not thinking about balance. The ground changes unexpectedly. Your body has to react. Do this daily, and your reflex system stays sharp. Skip it, and your reflex system atrophies. It's that simple. Every other exercise I've taught you builds components. Tandem walking builds reflexes in a controlled line. Shiko builds leg strength. Ankle exercises build joint stability. Heel drops build bone density. Breathing builds endurance. Spine stretches build mobility. But Moroha Aruki integrates all of it into real-world function. It's the test and the training at the same time. This is why Japanese seniors who walk on varied terrain daily have fall rates that are dramatically lower than American seniors who walk the same distance on flat surfaces. It's not the distance, it's the difficulty. Let's talk about progression, because this is where most people either stall or push too hard. Month 1, walk on gentle grass or packed dirt for 10 minutes 3 times a week. Month 2, walk on grass with gentle slopes or gravel 5 times a week. Month 3, add trails with small obstacles 4 times a week. Month 4, mix all terrains and add head turning every 20 steps. By month 5, this should feel normal. Your body should adapt to uneven ground without conscious thought. That's when you know the training has worked. Your reflex system has been rebuilt. At that point, you don't need to dedicate specific sessions to it. Just choose uneven surfaces whenever you have the option. Walk through the grass instead of on the sidewalk. Take the dirt path instead of the paved one. Your body will maintain what it's learned as long as you keep challenging it. Here's a question people ask. What if I live in a city with no parks or trails nearby? You have options. Walk in a parking lot and deliberately step on the painted lines which are slightly raised. Walk on the grass strip between the sidewalk and the street. Find a set of outdoor stairs and walk up and down them, focusing on uneven edges. Go to a high school track and walk on the grass inside the track instead of on the rubber surface. Even 10 minutes twice a week on any non-flat surface will maintain your balance system better than daily walks on pavement. The key is irregularity. Your brain needs unpredictability to stay sharp. Predictable surfaces let your brain go on autopilot. Unpredictable surfaces force it to stay engaged. Now, let's address the biggest barrier: fear. Many of you reading this have already fallen or come close. You're afraid of falling again. You avoid anything that feels unstable. This is a rational response. But it's also the response that guarantees you'll fall again, because when you avoid instability, your balance gets worse. And when your balance gets worse, you fall on surfaces that shouldn't be dangerous. You trip on a flat sidewalk. You stumble in your own kitchen. The fear creates the outcome you're trying to avoid. Moroha Aruki breaks this cycle, but you have to start so gently that the fear doesn't activate. Week 1. Walk on short grass in a park with a friend next to you. Hold their arm lightly if needed. Walk 10 steps. Stop. That's enough. Week 2, walk 20 steps. Week 3, let go of the arm for 5 steps. Week 4, walk the whole 10 minutes with the friend nearby but not touching. Week 5, walk alone. This gradual exposure retrains your nervous system to trust movement again. And trust is half the battle. Here's the neuroscience behind why this works. Fear activates your sympathetic nervous system. Your muscles tighten. Your breathing becomes shallow. Your vision narrows. All of this makes you more likely to fall because your body is rigid instead of responsive. When you practice Moroha Aruki in a controlled, gradual way, you teach your brain that uneven ground is manageable. Your sympathetic response calms. Your muscles stay loose. Your breathing stays deep. Your vision stays wide. You move fluidly instead of stiffly. And fluid movement is stable movement. This is why confidence and balance are neurologically linked. It's not just psychological. It's physiological. Confident people fall less because their bodies move differently. Let me tell you about Helen. She's 76, retired teacher from Florida. Fell twice in 1 year, once in her bathroom, once stepping off a curb. After the second fall, she stopped leaving the house unless absolutely necessary. She was terrified. Her daughter convinced her to try Moroha Oruki, but Helen refused at first. Too scared. Her daughter suggested they start in the backyard. Just walk across the grass from one side to the other. 10 steps. Helen agreed because it was private. No one would see her struggle. They walked together. Helen held her daughter's hand. After 3 days, Helen let go of the hand for a few steps. After a week, she walked the grass alone while her daughter watched from the porch. After 2 weeks, she walked around the whole yard. After a month, she agreed to go to a park. After 2 months, she was walking park trails 3 times a week. At 4 months, she took a trip to visit her sister and walked on the beach. She told me the program didn't eliminate her fear completely, but it gave her tools. She knew how to challenge herself safely, and every time she walked on uneven ground without falling, her brain got a little more proof that she was capable. So here's what I want you to do starting tomorrow. Find one uneven surface near your home, a grassy area, a gravel path, a park trail. Walk on it for just 5 minutes, not 10, 5. Make it so easy you can't fail. Do that 3 times this week. Next week, do 7 minutes. The week after, do 10. Within a month, you'll have rebuilt the neural pathways that prevent falls. And within 3 months, you'll have reduced your fall risk by a margin that exceeds what any medication or supplement can offer. This is the most important movement I've taught you today. Everything else supports it, but this is the one that keeps you independent, the one that lets you travel, the one that lets you play with grandkids on the ground, the one that lets you live without fear. Now, I want to talk about something that doesn't fit neatly into a movement category, but it's essential if you want these practices to work long-term. It's called mei, which means negative space or pause. In Japanese culture, mei is the silence between notes in music, the empty space in a painting, the rest between breaths. For movement, it's the recovery between efforts. Western fitness culture glorifies constant effort. Push harder. Do more. No pain, no gain. This works for young people. It destroys older adults. After 60, your body needs more recovery time. Your muscles repair slower. Your nervous system takes longer to reset. If you train hard every day, you accumulate fatigue. Performance drops. Injury risk rises. You quit. Ma is the antidote. It's the intentional rest that allows adaptation to happen. Here's the protocol. Do the 6 movements I've taught you, but not all on the same day. Monday, do tandem walking and Moroha Oruki. Tuesday, do shiko and ankle exercises. Wednesday, do heel drops and breathing. Thursday, rest completely or do gentle stretching. Friday, repeat Monday. Saturday, repeat Tuesday. Sunday, repeat Wednesday. This gives each system time to adapt. Your balance system gets challenged, then rested. Your legs get loaded, then recovered. Your bones get impact, then time to rebuild. The pattern is effort, then space. Effort, then space. This is how you build capacity without breaking down. If you ignore mei, you'll be sore. You'll be tired. You'll skip days. The habit will die. But if you honor ma, the practices become sustainable. You'll still be doing them a year from now. And that's what matters. Let me tell you about Robert. He's 69, retired salesman from Illinois, extremely motivated. When he learned these exercises, he decided to do all of them every single day. 2 weeks and his knees hurt. His back was tight. He felt exhausted. He stopped everything. Thought the program didn't work for him. His wife, who had also started the program at a gentler pace, was still going. She felt great. She convinced him to restart but follow the schedule. 3 days on 1 day off, he did. Within a week, he felt better. Within a month, he was stronger than when he'd overtrained. He told me the lesson was humbling. More is not always better. Sometimes, space is the thing that allows growth. Here's the science. When you challenge your body with movement, you create microscopic damage. Muscle fibers tear slightly. Bone cells signal for repair. Neural pathways get activated. But the adaptation doesn't happen during the movement. It happens during rest. When you sleep, your body releases growth hormone. It repairs tissue. It consolidates the neural patterns you practiced. If you don't sleep enough or rest enough, the adaptation doesn't complete. You stay in a state of breakdown without rebuilding. Over time, this leads to chronic inflammation and overuse injuries. Ma prevents this. It builds recovery into the system. So if you take nothing else from this video, take this. Do the work, then rest. Both are equally important. Now, let's talk about the timeline. When will you see results? This is the question everyone asks. And the answer depends on where you're starting from. If you're currently sedentary, you'll notice changes in balance and energy within 2 weeks. If you're already active but doing the wrong type of training, you'll notice changes in stability and confidence within 4 weeks. If you're recovering from an injury or dealing with chronic pain, the timeline is longer, 8 to 12 weeks. But here's what you can expect at each milestone. Week 1, you'll feel more aware of your body. You'll notice when you're off balance. You'll catch yourself sooner. Week 2, you'll feel steadier on your feet. Stairs will feel easier. Week 4, you'll notice you're not grabbing counters or walls as often. Week 8, you'll feel confident on uneven ground. Week 12, you'll realize you haven't thought about falling in days. That's the shift. When fear stops being the background noise of your daily life. Let me tell you about Carol. She's 70, retired nurse from Washington. Started these practices because her daughter insisted. Carol was skeptical. She'd tried exercise programs before. Nothing stuck. But she committed to 8 weeks. Week 1, she did tandem walking and felt ridiculous. Week 2, she added Chico and her knees were sore. Week 3, she almost quit. Week 4, something clicked. She walked across her lawn to get the mail and realized she wasn't watching her feet. She was just walking. Week 6, she went to a garden center and navigated the gravel paths without thinking twice. Week 8, she hiked a state park trail with her daughter. At the end of the hike, her daughter asked how she felt. Carol said, "I feel like myself again." That's the goal, not to become someone new, to reclaim who you were before fear and weakness took over. Here's the maintenance plan after you've completed 3 months of consistent practice. You don't need to do all 6 movements every week forever, but you need to maintain the neural pathways you've built. Do Maroha Aruki twice a week minimum. Walk on uneven ground for 15 to 20 minutes. That's non-negotiable. It's the foundation. Add tandem walking once a week for 3 minutes. This keeps your reflexes sharp. Do Chico 3 times a week. This maintains leg strength and hip mobility. Do ankle exercises twice a week. Do heel drops twice a week. Do breathing daily. It takes 5 minutes and the benefits extend far beyond balance. Do spine stretches whenever you feel stiff. This is the minimum effective dose. It will maintain everything you've built. If you want to progress further, increase the difficulty. Walk on steeper terrain. Add a weighted vest to heel drops. Hold Chico at the bottom for 5 seconds instead of 1. But don't add volume just for the sake of more. Add difficulty. That's what drives adaptation after the first 3 months. Now, let's address medication, because some of you are on drugs that affect balance. Blood pressure medications can cause dizziness. Sedatives slow reaction time. Diuretics can cause dehydration, which affects proprioception. Pain medications can dull the nerve signals your feet send to your brain. If you're on multiple medications, talk to your doctor about a medication review. Sometimes doses can be lowered. Sometimes drugs can be switched to versions with fewer side effects. Sometimes medications that were necessary 5 years ago aren't necessary now. But many doctors don't proactively review medications in older adults. You have to ask. Bring a list of everything you take, including over-the-counter drugs and supplements. Ask if any of them increase fall risk. Ask if any of them interact in ways that affect balance. This conversation alone can reduce your fall risk by a measurable margin. Let me tell you about Eugene. He's 77, retired pilot from Nevada, on 6 medications. blood pressure, cholesterol, diabetes, anxiety, insomnia, arthritis pain. He started these movement practices and felt better, but still had episodes of dizziness. He asked his doctor to review his medications. The doctor found that his blood pressure medication was dosed too high. His blood pressure had improved with the movement, and he didn't need as much. They lowered the dose. The dizziness stopped. Eugene told me he'd been on that dose for 10 years. No one ever suggested checking if it was still appropriate. The lesson is that your body changes. Medications that were right 5 years ago might not be right today. Especially if you're adding movement and improving your health, your needs change. Your prescriptions should change with them. Here's the final piece, and this is about identity. Most people over 60 have internalized the message that aging means decline. You get weaker. You get sicker. You lose independence. It's inevitable. This message is everywhere. In media, in medical offices, in conversations with friends, and when you believe it, you stop trying. Why exercise if decline is inevitable? Why challenge yourself if you're just going to get worse anyway? This belief is poison, and it's false. Aging does change your body. Recovery takes longer. Maximum capacity decreases, but the rate of decline is not fixed. It's a choice. You can decline fast or you can decline slow. The difference between those two paths is measured in decades of independence. The movements I've taught you today are not about defying aging. They're about navigating it with strength and dignity. They're about staying capable, about maintaining the ability to do what you love, about refusing to let fear run your life. Let me tell you about Dorothy. She's 81, oldest person I've worked with using these methods. Retired lawyer from Maine. When she started, she couldn't walk 10 minutes without needing to sit. She couldn't squat. She couldn't balance on one foot for even 2 seconds. She told me she felt like her body was shutting down. She was planning for decline, looking at assisted living facilities. Then she watched a video about Japanese centenarians, saw people in their 90s gardening and walking miles. She thought if they can do it, maybe I can too. She started with just the breathing exercise, 30 seconds twice a day. After 2 weeks, she added tandem walking holding the wall. After a month, she added Shiko holding the counter. Progress was slow, but it was progress. 6 months in, she was walking 30 minutes on park trails. She could squat to pull weeds. She could balance on one foot for 10 seconds. At 9 months, she canceled the assisted living tour. She told me, "I'm not declining anymore. I'm maintaining, and that's enough." That shift in identity from declining to maintaining changed everything. She stopped seeing herself as helpless. She started seeing herself as capable. And capable people do capable things. So here's my final question for you. Not a request to like or subscribe. A real question. Which of these 6 movements will you start with and why? Will it be tandem walking because you've had a close call with balance? Will it be Shiko because you can't get off the floor anymore? Will it be Moroha Aruki because you're tired of being afraid? Drop a comment and tell me. Tell me where you are right now and which change feels most urgent. Because when you name it, you claim it. And when you claim it, you're more likely to do it. This community is full of people just like you. People who are choosing to navigate aging instead of surrendering to it. People who are building strength instead of accepting weakness. You're not alone in this, and you don't have to figure it all out today. Just pick one movement. Do it tomorrow. Then do it again the day after. Small steps taken consistently become miles traveled. And those miles are the difference between independence and dependence. Between confidence and fear. Between living and merely existing. You get to choose. So, what will it be?